So in our previous video, we looked at how a well-organized defensive system is created with the capacity of center backs, central midfielders, and the attackers. We looked at excellent teams such as Arsenal and Manchester City and how these teams are able to control games in possession. The main facet that involves controlling game in possession is how you organize their midfield. And this leads us to our discussion today, and this is how Enzo, Caicedo, and Gallagher can be set up by Maurizio Pochettino to ensure that Chelsea are organized, especially without the ball. And this organization stems with organizing when they have the ball. How can Chelsea attack while defending, having a solid midfield? And this is going to be what we are going to tactically analyze today. The international break is finally over and the Premier League is finally back. On Saturday, we are going to have a game between Chelsea and Burnley at the Stamford Bridge. And not to forget the weekend blockbuster fixture pitting two heavyweights, that is Manchester City host Arsenal at the Etihad. Therefore, I'd like to introduce to you our new partner, and that is BetWinner. BetWinner is one of the best sites where you can actually make money. You can actually watch your favorite game, place odds, and have huge payouts. They are quite flexible and they also give quite good returns when it comes to payouts. You can actually make good money using BetWinner. Check their link in our description area and use our promo code to get better deals. Don't forget to make money this weekend. So, Enzo Fernandez has been one of the most talented players at Chelsea. His ability to make quick one-touch passes is one of the reasons why Chelsea actually invested a lot of money to secure the midfielder. So the position of Enzo Fernandez is actually a crucial point in discussing how Chelsea can actually try to improve their midfield. Before we start, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this. And our first topic that we're going to look at is the position of Enzo Fernandez. So this is the game against Bournemouth, and you can see clearly Enzo Fernandez has vacated his forward position. And this kind of problems is some of the problems that leaves Chelsea in quite tactical problems, because Enzo Fernandez wants to get on the ball majority of the times. So Enzo Fernandez, a player that Mauricio Pochettino wants to actually occupy that position on the pitch, has left that position. Now, this has actually disjointed the structure of Chelsea, because Chelsea wanted to attack with 5 men. But because Enzo Fernandez has dropped deep, this has limited the space for the left winger to actually receive the ball. But the question is, where is Gallagher in this situation? And where is the position of Caicedo and Gallagher in this kind of system? So we're going to look at that. So Pochettino prefers Chelsea to play with a 4-2-3-1, and we are going to generally focus on the midfield trio, that is Enzo, Caicedo, and Gallagher. Gallagher is preferred by Pochettino because he gives Chelsea energy without the ball, while Caicedo and Enzo are quite great without in possession. So during the first phases of play is where we expect to see both Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez to thrive. And this is whereby the centre-backs drop on either side of the goalkeeper and the two holding midfielders drop deep to try and help the team progress with the ball. When Chelsea are facing a highly aggressive team, that is Arsenal, Manchester City, Liverpool, or probably Tottenham Hotspur and Aston Villa, Chelsea should be quite efficient in building from the back. And how do you do this? The proper coordination of the two midfielders will be quite important. So if the team decides to press high aggressively with two forwards, this is how Chelsea can do. The goalkeeper should initiate the direction in which the game is going to be played. So if the goalkeeper decides to play the ball to the left-sided centre-back, what should happen is that Enzo Fernandez cannot drop deep to look to receive the ball, because he's actually putting pressure towards that left side, but rather he should move further up to drag an opposition midfielder away from that position, allowing Moises Caicedo to have space to receive the ball directly if the ball is played back to the goalkeeper. And now Caicedo in this position, once he receives the ball, if a midfielder is drawn to try and press him, he can immediately look to play the ball to the right centre-back, who can look to play penetrative passes either for Palmer dropping deep or Gallagher, as we saw Disasi attempt to do during the game against Manchester City that actually caused Nathan Ake a lot of problems. The coordination of the two midfielders is quite important. Now, majority of teams that Chelsea are going to face are going to be teams that are going to sit in a mid block. And sitting in a mid block are teams that have really given Chelsea a lot of tactical problems. So how can the three midfielders manage to coordinate themselves in this kind of situation? Since Mauricio Pochettino wants his team to commit as many as 5 players forward when they are attacking, the rest defense is usually the problem for Chelsea. So if Chelsea decide to build with the back four, the two centre backs will be under constant pressure, especially when they are playing against a front two, and this might inhibit Chelsea's progression with the ball. So you know definitely that you need to have a +1 during build-up, and the goalkeeper cannot drop so high to try and create this kind of system. So Chelsea need to improvise. Either one way is one fullback inverting and playing as an extra third centre back to enable Chelsea to effectively progress with the ball in the first line of pressure, because now if Chelsea centre backs are 3, then they are able to maneuver. In this case, Cole Palmer can have the chance to immediately occupy his preferred position in the right half space, allowing Malo Gusto or Reece James, who's playing down the right, to hold the width down the right. And this now leaves questions about the position of Conor Gallagher. And this might also question the position of Ben Chilwell, who is not quite great inverting as a centre back. Here is an example of Chelsea earlier on of the season with Colwill being deployed in that kind of system. Now, Conor Gallagher can either choose to operate down the left half space region and try to link up with whoever is playing down the left wing. But Mauricio Pochettino does not want Gallagher here because Gallagher is not quite adventurous and quite creative in this position, but rather he wants Enzo Fernandez to be the one to occupy this position to try and create penetrative passes. But now the problem is, where will Conor Gallagher fit? Because once Enzo pushes forward to look to create plays in this position, there's a vacancy in midfield. And therefore, Gallagher should understand that when Enzo pushes forward, he should actually drop deep and play alongside Moises Caicedo so that Chelsea can have a solid rest defense and his excellent work rate can actually be deployed alongside Moises Caicedo, reducing the ground that Caicedo needs to occupy when he's attacking. Enzo Fernandez, on the other hand, can be quite free to play forward, and this might actually liberate him and allow him to occupy those pockets of space and allow Mauricio Pochettino to have two of his most creative players playing in between the lines. Because if you have Enzo Fernandez and Cole Palmer in these positions, you're actually making the team to be much more cautious when they are trying to attack. Now, if the team decides to compress the spaces in midfield, then Chelsea can position their players to make runs in these spaces, and either the wide centre-backs can attempt to play those pinpoint passes into these spaces, but I've not seen any player other than Thiago Silva or maybe Banoiti Badiashile who's able to play these penetrative passes in behind the line. And therefore, you need a player who's also able to orchestrate those Fabregas kind of passes from deep, especially when teams decide to compress those spaces, and that player is Enzo Fernandez. So how do you deploy Enzo in this system? You can either choose to push a fullback forward and the winger to invert and allow Enzo Fernandez to drop into one wide centre-back position. And once he's in this kind of position, he's able to receive the ball and look to play those pinpointed long passes over the top for runners to be making runs. And this is quite interesting for Chelsea because if you have these players making those runs, then you're quite effective when you're looking to actually progress with the ball from a position of defending to a position of attacking. And also, this might prompt Chelsea to continue persisting with Ben Chilwell, who's much better in the attacking zones of the pitch, where he can look either to underlap or to make crosses, especially for the runs of the front four. This is when you have Enzo Fernandez dropping deep. But remember, Conor Gallagher and Caicedo will hold their positions in midfield to allow the fullback to advance quite forward. Or Mauricio Pochettino has to go back to the market and invest in getting an extra centre back. Now, having Caicedo and Gallagher in midfield, even if Caicedo and Gallagher lose the ball, they are able to aggressively launch a counter press, while the wide centre backs can be able to pick the two players, having a sweeper centre back to cover any space in behind. Now, for teams that play an aggressive lower block, like teams that come at Stamford Bridge, this is what Chelsea can actually do. Chelsea can either attempt to have a more conservative fullback like Cucurella playing as a left back who is able to tuck in and play alongside the other two centre backs, that is maybe Trevor Chalobah and Disasi, and have Conor Gallagher and Moises Caicedo playing in midfield. And these wide centre backs are not afraid to carry the ball forward and look to play the wingers so that they can draw wingers out of position and allow to create those 2v1 overloads, especially where Enzo Fernandez can be receiving space in between the lines. And also do not forget that the goalkeeper Petrovic should also be quite astute to step out from his line and look to cover that space behind the three centre backs, because Chelsea need to ensure they play with an aggressive high line to try and win the ball immediately they lose the ball. And this is one of the things that Mauricio Pochettino really needs to work on after the international break. So Mauricio Pochettino is going to be found in quite a problematic situation, because now he needs now to try and finish at least top of the table. Chelsea are 11th, just one position better than they were last season. The burden of performance is on Mauricio Pochettino to try at least and get the win against Burnley and get Chelsea to 40 points and try as much as possible to win his game in hand and have Chelsea back into the top 7 equation. The question is, will Mauricio Pochettino actually try to make tactical adjustments to his system and try to come up with a way in which this midfield might actually work? If you've enjoyed this brief tactical analysis, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. And thanks for your time.